Failure is something everyone dreads, but what if I told you that some of the world's most successful leaders attribute their success to their biggest failures? Shocking, right? In fact, a study by the National Bureau of Economic Research shows that nearly 75% of all successful entrepreneurs have faced major setbacks before their breakthrough. Yet, these same failures were the turning points that fueled their rise to the top. Why is this? How do leaders turn what seems like a dead end into an opportunity? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. From reframing setbacks to embracing vulnerability, we'll explore how top leaders use failure as a powerful tool for growth. So, if you think failure is the end of the road, think again. By the end of this video, you'll see failure in a completely new light. Ready to learn how some of the most successful leaders turned their failures into stepping stones? Let's get started. Chapter 1. The Power of Reframing. Turning setbacks into stepping stones. Leaders understand that setbacks are not dead ends but chances to grow. Reframing a situation is the act of changing your perspective on a challenge. Instead of thinking, "I failed," think, "What can I learn?" Reframing helps leaders see obstacles as opportunities to improve. In fact, research from Harvard Business Review shows that leaders who adopt a growth mindset, believing their abilities can improve, are more successful in navigating failure. Leaders like Elon Musk have talked about how their biggest failures led to breakthroughs. Musk's SpaceX rocket failures were seen as inevitable stepping stones toward eventual success. The key is to not internalize failure as permanent but to see it as part of the journey. Leaders who reframe failure make quick decisions without being afraid of mistakes. They encourage their teams to do the same. Reframing failure often leads to innovation because it removes the fear of being wrong. Amazon's Jeff Bezos, for instance, says, "If you're not willing to be misunderstood for long periods of time, then you're not going to be able to innovate." This is where reframing comes in. By embracing failure, leaders push themselves and their companies to think outside the box. Chapter 2. Embracing the fail fast, fail forward mindset. Leaders who embrace failure see it as an essential part of success. The fail fast, fail forward mindset is all about failing quickly and learning from it. Speed is the key. By failing fast, leaders don't waste time. Instead, they can quickly identify what doesn't work and pivot to what does. According to a report by McKinsey, companies that are agile, able to quickly adapt and move forward, are more likely to succeed in the long run. The faster you fail, the faster you grow. This mindset is especially crucial in tech industries. Google's Moonshots program thrives on the idea of experimenting with big, bold ideas, accepting failure along the way, and learning quickly. It's this culture of fast failure that allowed them to create successful products like Google Search. Leaders who adopt this mindset aren't afraid to experiment, knowing failure is just a stepping stone to success. The more they fail, the more they learn, and the better their future decisions become. Steve Jobs once said, "The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." Chapter 3. The Power of Vulnerability. Leaders who share their failures. Leaders who openly share their failures foster an environment of trust. When leaders show vulnerability, it encourages their teams to take risks without fear of judgment. This openness breaks down barriers and builds stronger connections. A study from the University of Houston found that when leaders show vulnerability, employees are 30% more likely to contribute ideas. Oprah Winfrey has talked about how she turned her failures into opportunities to connect with others. She believes that sharing your struggles can create a sense of community. In leadership, vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. Leaders like Howard Schultz of Starbucks openly discuss the struggles they faced, such as the company's early financial troubles. Sharing these stories humanizes them and inspires their teams to keep going despite challenges. By admitting mistakes, leaders set an example for their teams, showing them that failure is not something to hide but to learn from. According to Brené Brown, a researcher and expert on vulnerability, vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. If you're enjoying this video and want more insights on leadership, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Chapter 4. The Failure Feedback Loop. How leaders improve through adversity. Feedback is an essential tool for leaders to turn failure into opportunity. Successful leaders don't just experience failure, they learn from it. They create a feedback loop by reviewing what went wrong, adjusting their approach, and trying again. A report from Gallup shows that employees who receive regular feedback are 12.5% more productive. Leaders who actively seek feedback grow faster because they don't wait for mistakes to be pointed out. Instead, they proactively identify areas for improvement. One example of this feedback loop in action is the story of Toyota's production system. After multiple failures, Toyota used feedback to transform its manufacturing process, making it one of the most efficient in the world. Leaders who seek feedback often make better decisions and lead their teams with more confidence. Instead of seeing failure as a personal flaw, they see it as valuable input. Richard Branson once said, "Business opportunities are like buses, there's always another one coming." This attitude reflects the idea that failure is just a chance to learn and move forward. Chapter 5. Turning burnouts into breakthroughs. Leaders who thrive under pressure. Stress is inevitable, but leaders who thrive under pressure can turn stress into productivity. When faced with burnout, great leaders tap into their resilience. They see pressure as an opportunity to innovate. Research by the American Psychological Association shows that resilient leaders are more likely to adapt to challenging situations and emerge stronger. Instead of shutting down, resilient leaders become more focused. When faced with overwhelming challenges, they don't panic. Instead, they find creative solutions to problems. Nike's Phil Knight is a great example of someone who thrived under pressure. After failing multiple times to get his business off the ground, he turned his burnout into a drive to succeed. Leaders like him show us that burnout can spark new thinking, making us more creative. As stress builds, leaders develop a new perspective and often come up with breakthrough ideas. Arianna Huffington, the founder of the Huffington Post, is known for her work on mindfulness and resilience. She has shared how her own burnout helped her shift to a new approach to leadership, one that prioritizes well-being as much as productivity. Chapter 6. The Ripple Effect. Inspiring teams to rise after failure. Leaders who bounce back from failure inspire their teams to do the same. When leaders show resilience, it creates a ripple effect throughout the entire organization. The team picks up on their energy, learning that failure is not the end, but the beginning of new opportunities. A study by Gallup found that employees who feel inspired by their leaders are 3.5 times more likely to be engaged at work. The way leaders handle failure sets the tone for the whole team. One of the most famous examples of this is Steve Jobs, who faced being ousted from Apple. Instead of giving up, he returned and led the company to become one of the most valuable in the world. By showing resilience, Jobs not only turned his personal failure into a triumph but also inspired his entire team to keep pushing forward. Great leaders understand that failure is contagious. When they handle failure well, their teams do too. They don't just bounce back, they bring their teams with them, encouraging collaboration and collective growth. This is how great companies like Disney and Pixar thrived through failure, by encouraging their teams to learn and innovate together. If you found these strategies helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Get more leadership tips and tricks straight to your feed. Keep turning your failures into opportunities.